Are you guys struggling with the Tower of Adversity? Is the tower too hard? That's one question I asked you guys, so let's talk about this. I'm not sure if anybody's gonna be shocked right now, but I did a YouTube poll asking you guys how many crests do you usually get in the Tower of Adversity. The majority actually only gets between 15 and 20 crests. For the people that don't know, there is a maximum of 30 crests in the tower. You can check in the map here, or you just go directly to the tower. For example, right now I only have 12 out of 30, but that is because I didn't have time to do the tower yet. Jumping back to the YouTube poll with 11,000 votes, by the way, that is not a small amount of votes. That shows that only 24% actually managed to finish the tower. 20% get between 20 and 25, and 14% get between 10 and 15 crests. Now this definitely brings up the question, is the tower simply too hard? 5 months later, and still the majority only has between 15 and 20, is kind of concerning. What are the issues why people cannot complete the tower? Well, first of all, I think the biggest reason why people cannot complete this tower is simply that we don't have enough characters maxed out or build it properly. Not having enough materials pretty much all the time in this game to build certain characters is just a huge problem. The second big reason is that you don't have enough characters overall. This mode actually requires you to have certain characters built, or just have some characters with certain elements built, because a lot of bosses are just simply resistant to certain elements, and that basically means you cannot, for example, use an electro character versus the Tempest Mephis, and you basically will deal a lot less damage to these bosses if you don't use a different element, which pretty much requires you to have certain characters built with different elements, so you can actually beat these bosses in the tower. In my opinion, it is not that the tower is too hard, it is more about the character problem that we don't have them build, not enough characters build, and we don't have enough materials. Let's also talk about the difficulty in the tower. Of course, in the middle tower, this is the hardest one. I actually managed to defeat both of these in the last tower before the reset definitely was a challenge. While it was not impossible, and my characters are definitely not like overpowered or anything, I actually managed to beat these floors. But there's still one big issue that I have. These bosses sometimes just feel like they have too much HP, or my characters are not strong enough. Coming back to the first problem is that I don't have enough resources to max these characters out. And I'm gonna be real, this is a complete me problem, and probably a lot of other people have the same problem, because I actually did spend my wave blades very wrong in the beginning of the game. It was quite a wake-up call coming to the tower, realizing that it actually matters maxing out your characters to 90 and maxing out all their skills. Especially the level difference from 80 to 90 seems to be at least like 30% damage, which is huge. But coming back to this YouTube poll, because a lot of people actually explain why they are struggling. Here, for example, it's never the full amount, my characters are not strong enough, it's very frustrating. After Jiangliao 30 stars. I also want to talk about this in a bit, but I also think this problem is very temporary. In the upcoming months, when we get more 5-star characters and more characters in general, and we build more characters and get more resources, it definitely will get easier to complete the tower. Also the question, how much do you want to try hard in this game? Because if you actually grind a lot in the tower and you manage the perfect patterns, how to defeat the boss in the fastest way, of course you will manage to get 30 stars as well. But at what cost? That is the question. How much time do you want to invest into this game? Because I also know some hardcore players that also say that the tower is already too easy. But as you guys can see, it's definitely not too easy. But of course, you could also argue, what does easy mean? Easy could mean that you actually build your characters properly, and that's why you're not struggling. Easy could mean that you actually have the most OP characters in this game, which is probably Yinshi, Changli, Jian. This video idea doesn't also come out of nowhere, because there's a new Reddit post right now that says, how do you guys get 30 stars? And I think this comment actually pretty much sums it up pretty good. Some people have mad skills, solo runs, no hit runs, perfect play, so they can 30 stars with less investment. If you're not any of that, keep building your units, level the most important talents to 10, Try to improve your echoes as much as you can reasonably can. Yeah, I didn't even talk about this yet, but yeah, echoes are also a huge freaking material investment, and this also requires you hours of farming. Look up guides for your teams. Aligning concerto buffs, echo buffs makes a huge difference. Yeah, I can definitely say this is also one thing I learned way too late. In the Tower of Adversity, when you do a tower, also in the holograms or any boss fight, it actually is very viable and valuable to use your intro skills pretty much every time they are ready. Forget about your perfect rotation, just use your intro skills and outro skills. They just will help you so much, especially with breaking the boss. Make sure your teams have synergy. I was griefing myself by using Jian without Mortefi. Okay, yeah, that's like a 40% damage loss. If none of that works, you may need a bigger roster and some signature weapons to 4 stars. Weapons definitely also are a huge damage improvement. He also says here, you will get these eventually. And I can definitely agree with this, because these problems that we have right now are problems that will not exist in the upcoming months anymore. When we get more characters, when we get more DPS, and the more time is pretty much past, you will realize that you get more and more crests in the tower. So I really hope that they're actually gonna improve the tower in the future. I think the tower is the one game mode that they actually need to work on the most. It also should be a bit more fun. I'm not sure what they could do. Maybe some fun buffs or roguelike mechanics, I don't know. In the end, we already have the Depths of Elusive Realm, which should be the fun mode, right? But I also think the tower should be fun. In my opinion, the holograms should be the hardest content in the game, but as of right now, the tower feels like it's the hardest because you don't have enough characters built, if you get my take here. And with this, I will leave it to you guys in the comment section. Let me know. Are you guys struggling in the tower? How many crests are you able to get each time? What do you guys think are the biggest problems of you guys struggling in the tower? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you all for watching, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.